Justin Orenduff here, Baseball Rebellion, and we're going into step 2 of fixing the freak, which has to do with stride alignment. And the biggest thing to take away from here, if you're watching the video, is Lincecum himself talks about one of the kind of scariest things is as he moves his hips forward directly towards home plate, his upper half is closed, which we've talked about. It is closed, it over rotates. But really, because he over-rotates, his hips and his direction is thrown off. And he ends up landing with his stride way more closed off, probably than he really wants to. Okay? And what I'm going to do here to compare, to try to make it fair. Now, all the videos here, the angles are a little bit different. Okay? But if you really just pay attention and look closely, you can see the commonality of what I'm talking about. So we're going to start by each time marking a circle here at the heel, and then as the thrower strides out, we will mark another circle at the heel, and we will see this line of direction each time. Alright, so there is Lincecum's line of direction. And you can see that even if we take this line away, that if he was striding completely optimal, which would be heel to heel, his foot, if we back up, there's his heel, would need to be somewhere here. And he is definitely landing closed. Okay, and he has done this throughout his entire career. Now the reason why this is so important is because when the hips can fully open, the torso and particularly the release point have a direct path to get out in front of the body directly towards the target, and allows for the most amount of consistency for any pitcher. Okay, and Lincecum throughout his entire career has landed close, and now it's catching up with him because he's just not as quick. And this leads to not being able to get out in front of his body as consistently as he used to be because he's just not as quick. Now, let's go ahead and look at the predecessors here, and we're going to start with Clemens. Now, this is a great view for us to look at because we can start circle on the heel, circle on the heel. There's his path. So you can see that his hips have fully opened. His torso's still back, but now, hey, he can fire directly towards home plate, which allows his body to get out in front as best as possibly he can. We're going to move on. Let's go to David Cone. Let me erase these. Now this is a harder view to look from. We're still going to do the same process. Let's assume his heel is here. Then his heel is there. There's his path. Okay? Again, if you just kind of look at how his hips here, where his knee is in relationship to his back foot, where his torso is, you can see that his hips have clearly opened towards home plate, again allowing his trunk to rotate directionally towards the target. Mike Mussina. Let's do the circle here on his heel. Circle here on his heel. There he is. Okay, very, very similar. Let's go to the next guy, Pedro. Circle, moves into his throw. He's probably got the greatest amount of hip rotation and being extremely optimal in terms of being heel to heel so far with his alignments. And as we know, he's one of the best command pitchers we've seen in baseball history. Let's continue to move on. Tom Seaver. Let's mark the circle. There's the heel. Opens up. Can't even really see his foot, so we know that these hips have fully opened. His shoulders are remaining closed. Arms in a good position. Now he can do whatever he wants. He can go as hard as he wants in terms of driving his torso down towards the target, giving him that clear path. Lastly, Curt Schilling. Same thing. Circle, opens up, circle, there you go. Okay, so every single one of these predecessors, guys that have had results for 15 plus years, all of their hips opened. Okay, some of the guys, just like Lincecum, Schilling does it a little bit, Mussina did it, Clemens did it. They all had thoracic extension just like Lincecum. If we go back to Lincecum, if you really look when his foot hits, he has to really bend more than he needs to overcompensate for his closed stride. If Lincecum didn't have this great thoracic extension, his command would be far worse than it is now. Okay, so the biggest adjustment for me is the stride direction. But the stride direction has everything to do with how he moves into that lift, just like we talked about in step 1. He thinks that his hips are moving towards the center of the plate or the middle third, the outer third, towards home plate. But in essence, he's always landing close, and he has to make a major adjustment within his torso to get back to where he needs to be. So these two things, this one is step 2 with the stride alignment, is I think if Lincecum would be able to stop over rotating, allow his hips to travel directionally towards home plate, he would land with a better alignment and allow his torso, he can still have this great thoracic extension that he has, still stay deceptive plenty, and he would be able to more consistently generate the force that he's looking for and cut down on his walks and produce more consistent results.